Okay, so we're going to start off today, and I wanted to build a kelp farm. And most of these ideas for my kelp farm here have come from other people, and then I'm kind of combining a bunch of them and going to do a little more explaining on it overall, how it's going to work. So I started out because this is, I kind of have built my whole place here. Um, Some of it I've cleared out and flattened, and some of it I haven't. But that's my sugarcane farm, and so I'm going to basically build my kelp farm to be the same size as my sugarcane farm. And so, but it's a little bit different in that for this one, we're going to have a 17 um, wide, whichever way. So this kelp farm is going to have an underwater flying machine. And so whichever way it's going to go, which for me it's going to go this way back and forth, you need a 17 wide um, area related to which way you're going to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm using this light blue glass for the base of my kelp farm. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this, box here that I have to build the base. And this is just the base. I'm actually just going to use the walls as walls for up to this height, and then I will build up some light blue walls out of glass continuing on up to house the kelp farm. So I'll be back when I've done that. Okay, and so just kind of finishing this up here, and I mentioned as I was telling you what I was going to do here at the base that a lot of this stuff came from some other people and their teachings on kelp farms or flying machines, and wanted to give some credit to those guys. So Avamance and Pixel Riffs and Frilioff were the main ones whose videos I saw that kind of gave me some of these ideas and concepts. And so basically what we're going to do is we've got this 17 wide um, area here. It's all filled in on the base with glass because you can stick kelp to most any blocks. Um, I don't think soul sand and maybe a couple others, but because I just thought it would look pretty good with kelp growing on it. And we're going to set a flying machine up that will be at the flying machine will be at this height right here, so the kelp will always stay growing. And flying machines can actually have up to 10 slime blocks off of each side of them, so you could cover I think it's 18 because of the pistons in the middle. I think it's an 18 by 8 or an 18 wide flying machine. However, because of the flowing distance of water being only 8 up at the top of our kelp farm, we're going to have everything flow into a row of hoppers down the middle. And so um, that's why we got 17, because we're going to have 8 on this side and then a hopper and then 8 from this side to the center. We're going to bring it all to the center into a chain of hoppers that run the whole length of this um, piece here, and then that will collect it all up and deposit it into a set of chests, which then will feed into an auto smelter and will make us lots of dried kelp, which can be used for fuel, or I actually think that dried kelp blocks just look really cool. So we are going to need to build up the side of the square here, which I was going to do in blue glass so it was nice and seeable, and I thought that would look good. And I did say earlier this was light blue glass. It's just regular blue glass. Um, and as I build this all up, one thing that came to mind was that the the hopper line in the center might be done a little different. We might just use water to and a trough to catch the kelp instead of hoppers, because that'll be cheaper. And unless you have a good iron farm of some sort, it may be hard to have enough iron to build enough hoppers to do this entire chain. one thing to know about kelp is that it can grow up to 25 tall. And when you place kelp in water, you can press F3 to see its age, and if it's whatever the age it is, it will continue to grow, and it will grow until it's 25, age of 25. So you could build this thing 25 high in order to ensure that the kelp never grows into your flowing water that's at the top, because kelp, when it grows, turns flowing water into water source blocks. However, I probably won't do that because the sweeper arms on the flying machine are going to go pretty quick, and so most likely the kelp, even with a delayed hopper clock, is only going to be able to do 3, 4, 5 growth per swipe of the flying machine. So we shouldn't have to worry really about the kelp growing all the way up and getting into the height of the flowing water, and which would mess the entire farm up. So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to go get some more of my blue glass and continue building up the walls of the farm on the outside of this 17 by 17 or 17 wide, I don't know how long it is, I didn't count it, square that I've got here. So I'll be back when I'm done. Okay, so here we are. We've got some some decent walls around here, not nearly high enough. We're probably going to have to go up at least another 5 blocks or so to really make it seem similar to the sugarcane farm and be deep enough and neat enough. But I wanted to take a few minutes here and try and build out the flying machine device. And so that came with some thoughts that of blocks that interact with flying machines and blocks that don't. So there's a combination of things that you want to look at. One is blocks that interact with slime blocks, which is what we're going to be using, and also how far pistons can move things. So those two things combine to create the situation that we're going to use for the flying machine. And so because we're going to have water source blocks all along here and flowing down, and then kelp on the bottom, we should be able to have a water source block here. This will be flowing block where the which will probably reform into water source blocks all the time, but just from the flowing water everywhere. But with the flying machine coming across here, and I think what we'll do, because we want the flying machine, the kelp basically to start here, but either way we're going to need to do something with this row, at least half of it, of the dirt here. So let's start by just building the flying machine, and we will decide where we want to have it stop, whether we want it to stop one in and kelp to start here and go, or theoretically the flying machine could start here and go across, and then kelp can start one block in. So, and if you haven't seen flying machines before, the first ones I saw were on a video by Nembaum on sugarcane farms, and basically there's a lot of different ways they can sit, but you got 2 sticky pistons and a row of slime blocks, and then another row of slime blocks, and then 2 observers, and you can have them pointing in or out or looking up, or different ways depending on where they're going to get their trigger from to begin operating. So in this case we're using just basically a torch with some redstone into a repeater into a trap door. And so if I hit that lever, this trapdoor is going to trigger, and that will set off the observer, triggering the pistons to push and pull and push and pull. When they get down there, there's another observer which triggers another trapdoor and actually will send it back. Now, you may notice that around here, I've got a whole lot of leaves. And the reason why I've got a lot of leaves is because leaves don't interact with slime blocks. And so the slime blocks can actually be touching the leaves here, and it won't stop them from running. Where if this was dirt or stone or anything like that, it would stop. I'm going to send the mine carts to go get my sugar cane. Anyway, so if it was dirt or stone or anything else, it would interact with the slime blocks and they would try to stick to it, and then you wouldn't be able to, it would be more than the 10 block total that a slime blocks can travel. The other thing is that we will need to have some sort of an immovable block of some sort to keep the pistons from wanting to push into these other blocks and messing up our wall, which isn't too big of a deal because we do have a large wall here. But we'll probably put a piece of obsidian down, or maybe a furnace, depending on what we want to use. Obsidians and furnaces are both immovable blocks, meaning that pistons can't push them. So just take a bit of a snooze here. Okay, so let's start. I'm thinking that what we'll do is we'll take one row of dirt out here. Stepping on the bed there. And we'll grab all that. And so I think what we'll do is we'll start with, so when I build a flying machine, I like to start with the observers first, because I like to have my observers face upward, and in particularly anytime you're doing a farm that could be like sugarcane or in this situation kelp, where you're using something that grows, if you have your observers facing outwards or in a different direction. I'm going to grab some stone here out of my storage area. Anyways, if you have your observers facing outwards or backwards or anything, they can get a secondary or an extra update due to something growing in front of them at just the wrong timing. So that's why I like to use face them upwards towards the sky, because then, you know, even in the water, like they're going to be in here, the only thing that they are going to see is just blocks of water. They'll never like be facing out and see a block of kelp or anything like that that will update them at the wrong moment and break the flying contraption. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so here's our center. Well, basically, yes, right here's actually the center. So let's place a block here that's unique looking. Okay, and then what we're gonna do, and I guess we can just use the grass blocks here, because the pistons are gonna be here. Some going out this way, some going out that way, and the observers need to be placed at this height. And in order to place them looking upwards, you need a block that they can go. You can place them with. So we're going to come out like this, and out one like that, and so that we can take an observer and then face it downward like that.
We can take some grass blocks, and it doesn't really matter which side we choose. Choose this one, and then we'll place another one down like that. So now those are going to go into our slime blocks. So you can come out this way. And part of why I went and got some stone, although I got some piece right there, is because I want to cap off each of these runs with a piece of stone. And the reason for that is because if it was a slime block, then all of this would through here, which may not look the nicest. It probably should be replaced with glass, but kind of is the way the mountain flowed as I started building it, or not mountain, but the hill here, would need to be replaced by something that slime blocks won't interact with, like leaves or furnaces or something like that. So then the next set would be to place my slime blocks here. 2, 3, 4. Okay. And right here. And then stuck in here again. Let's grab some stone here. So what we're going to want to have is we're going to want to have in each one of these places here one of these sticky pistons. I should have set some of this up ahead of time, facing into the slime block like that, underneath of the so that one faces that way, not underneath the observer but next to the observer. So this one's going to be a little trickier. We might have to I'm going to have to probably take out a slime block or two, maybe even this grass block too, to get down to where I really want to be. And we'll just do it this way. Oops. There we go. Okay, and then grab some slime blocks and there and there. Okay, so this is the basic flying machine contraption. We're all set up here, and we'll take out some of these extras. Now, this whole row here actually can't move. Oh, and I forgot that I want this one gone. And it's gone. Because this whole row here touches all of these blocks along here, as well as all of the blocks underneath of it. So in that area there, we will need to put something in there, or the other alternative would be, like we said before, stop it out in this area so that it doesn't touch any of those, which is doable. It's just a matter of placing, like we said, an immovable block in line with basically in this spot right underneath this observer, which would hold it all out one space. So before we get going here, we're going to need to take out some grass. So let's grab all of this here, so that, and we're going to grab all of this here. Okay. And then we're going to run and grab some obsidian just so that we can place some in a couple of those spots where we're going to need to. So we'll run back over here real quick. Sorry if this is getting tedious and boring. This is my first one of these. So anyways, okay, so we'll be able to place, we'll place the obsidian on this side. I'm going to place it out. Well, actually, since I took all that out, I don't need to place it out any. So we will go like this. So I'm going to remove this, and And I think I'm going to remove this one, and then I'm going to place a piece of obsidian um, in line with this piston here. So when they get here, it's going to stop on that spot, which means though that I want to come right here in line with this piston, come across, and I'm going to place one right here. And I placed it out intentionally because I don't want to remove an entire row of glass. So by placing it out, it's going to hold this row of slime blocks off the edge. So then let's grab some stone blocks and we'll set one there. So theoretically now we should be able to remove one of these, and it's going to power the slime block, and by extension power the piston as well, and that's going to push this one out, which is going to update that slime block, which is going to then pull it, which is it's going to create this cycle, and it's going to move all the way across over there, and it should stop when it gets to that piece of obsidian over there that it can't move. So let's give it a shot and see if I mess it up. And there it goes on its way, merrily, merrily, merrily. So far so good, and it stopped. And now we're gonna try to duck underneath here real quick. That's not working. Oh, I think I got it that time and then I messed it up. Yeah, so see it's stuck, or it's sitting right there on the obsidian block just like it was supposed to. And now we could actually, wow. Let's see, this is, no. If we were to go over there, we could update this observer and send it back across, and it would come across and it would stop here when it gets to here. So we have a couple options. We can either, this is all fine with grass. So we can, if we place the, move this obsidian out one, we could fill this all back in with grass and that would be fine. Which is what I think I'll do, because then it will look like it's all enclosed that way. So let's just do that here. And I just think that's going to look overall more consistent for the whole build. And let's go over here. A lot of times, shut those off so they stop running. A lot of times what you want to do is you want to go use like your flint and steel to just light a fire on top of the observer. In this case I'm just going to throw a piece of dirt on it and it should take back off and move across. There we go. So now what we will end up doing is we will build up a redstone device here that's going to trigger it just like it triggers here to go forward and back and forward and back, and it will move across. I'm just gonna, just like I did here, I'm gonna use a trapdoor to create that update to the observer, which will then power the pistons and away they'll go. We'll put one on each side, and then we may put a hopper clock actually to power it, which will allow the kelp more time to grow. Since on this one I turn it on and off, and I can set an on and off switch up here as well. But with a hopper clock powering it, it will just, wait on this end for a couple minutes and then go, and wait on that end for a minute or two and go. And that will keep it from, since the one of the things you don't want to do with flying machines is you don't want them to um, load and unload in the middle of moving. And so it will probably be a good idea to build a system that we can turn on and off. The problem with the kelp farm, as we said before, is I'm not planning to build this one to 25 blocks high, which is the highest kelp can grow, because then it would be huge. Not as huge as my mob farm over here. That took forever. But, it would be really tall. Um, but if I let it grow up into the flowing water that will be the top layer, it will ruin the farm. Because then the kelp, when it does get cut, won't flow to the center the way it's supposed um, to get picked up by the hopper. So what we'll do is we're going to um, we will have an on-off switch, but by and large we're going to want it to mostly be running off of a hopper clock. So it's just always kind of going, um, and we'll create an infinite fuel source as well as some, I think, really cool blocks. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier is that I play in survival Minecraft. I don't really do creative mode for anything. Um, can't even don't even have um, cheats or anything set up. I can't change it, can't do anything in this world. So this is just pure um, survival. I do have a texture pack. It's the Blue Nerd texture pack. I really enjoy it quite a bit. Um, and I've only been playing for since December of 2018, so only about 3 months now. And so we got a neat flying machine here. So now with where everything's at, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and I'm going to finish building up um, the glass walls here. And then once the glass walls are in, and we'll probably go 3 or 4 more high. Got to go finish pulling out of the furnace up here some more glass to, and I'm just using blue glass, like I said, because I can. And but pull some glass out of the furnace here, and maybe smelt up some more sand. Because I will probably need more than what I've got there. Grab half of that for this one here. There we go. Now we got some more. So I'm going to go build up some more bit of the walls here. And now because, like we said, we don't want to fill this cavity in because that would mess up the flying machine. So I'm just going to come straight across here like so. Because on an angle they don't touch, and so that won't mess up the flying machine at all to have it be at an angle here as it comes across. We'll leave that one there for now. We will probably have to have a gap, like I guess it'd be on this one here, like this, so that we can have that trapdoor right there. But we won't need to have water actually in this row here on top of these slime blocks if we don't want to. Same with over there, because and I'm gonna have to fly out of here. But because of the way this sticks out and stops the device 1 block off, we can just let whatever downward flowing water comes in and pools right here at the bottom will be fine. So anyways, I'll be back when I put some more glass in place.
Okay, so I had to split this video into two parts, part one and part two on the kelp farm. So this is going to be the end of part one, and then I will put part two together, and you'll see the end of that. And then we'll also have the auto smelter video and just the underwater flying machine video to. Um, so there'll be 4 videos in total, and I hope you enjoy.